Good afternoon, viewers. Thank you very much. Welcome to Punchline Africa Television, broadcasting from the Republic of Kenya in Nairobi, in the general headquarters of Punchline Africa Television. This show is Africa Showdown. Today being a Sunday, we change the format of delivery of our news. We lecture to Africa. We talk what ails Africa, what ails all countries in Africa. Corruption, conflicts, wars, elections. We look at them, we see a continent changing but not changing, moving but not moving. South, north, we are never prepared. The drowning of 400 people killed by floods in South Africa shows to you that since South Africa got independence, it has never looked at what would happen to the continent in case rain came. You see, calamity is coming over the continent of Africa. Have we changed? Morocco says we haven't done enough. There are too many conflicts. If you look in Nigeria, Nigeria is burning, sinking in the Atlantic Ocean. Oh my God, what is happening on the continent of Africa? This show on Sunday, raise the voices, rise Jesus Christ. He has risen. Jesus Christ has risen. Has Africa risen? Jesus Christ has risen. Have the people of Great Lakes region, Kenya, risen up? Have we gone? Have we got the salvation? Are we able to conduct our elections without any problems? Are we prepared in our elections? Are the preparations very good for us? Where are we? Do we give respect to our president or to presidents on the continent of Africa? What bewitched Africa? This is the show from Punchline Africa, the Podium Politics. The Podium Politics is a way that I usually go for lectures. I do lecture once in a while in London School of Economics. I'm called upon to give a lecture on Africa. Because of COVID-19, I wasn't able to give a lecture on Africa. But I want to say, now the COVID-19 is not gone yet, but it is over. In some parts of the world, we shall be doing the same. We shall be going back there to see what can help Africa. What can help this continent of Africa? Is Africa bewitched? Is Africa a continent with too much that it can do for itself, but yet it can't do anything beyond its nose? Every time there is a calamity on the African continent, we keep on saying there is a problem. We don't know. We ask for help. Yet we have a lot of resources on the African continent that can help this continent. Every time there is something that is wrong on the continent, we blame others. Yet we are the same people who have the same mindset that is destroying Africa. Is Africa bewitched? Looking at what is happening on the continent of Africa, which we shall come back later, are there dark external forces that are killing Africa? Or we are conduits of those forces that are killing Africa? Ladies and gentlemen, I have done my summary, and that is now the summary that we shall see. This is Matanga Africa Perspective combined, Africa Showdown, that brings in all what is happening on the continent of Africa. Today we have two topics which are very, very important and very, very useful to the people of Africa, to the people of Kenya, to all people that wish to see a better Africa. Is Africa changing? If Africa is changing, how is it changing? If Africa is not changing, how can we change it? Some time back, Chinawa Achebe, a man from West Africa, wrote his book, Things Fall Apart. At that time, we didn't know that things could fall apart. Every time in Africa that you talk about, something is falling apart. Who bewitched us? Are we the victims, or we are the process that makes Africa not governable? Joining me on the panel are very many people who are going to discuss this issue. And joining me to discuss these matters are my political analysts scattered all over the world. I will begin with Mr. Mupambe, John Mupambe. John Mupambe also works for Punchline Africa Television and works for Africa. You can introduce yourself. Good afternoon.
All right, good afternoon, Dr. Masanga in studio there. I'm Pambe Mukanga, the Radio Punchline Africa presenter. I present live from studio from Monday to Sunday. And now here I am. Thank you so much for welcoming me to the Africa Showdown.
What does your radio do? The Radio Africa is part of Punchline Africa Television. You must broadcast it to the people. It is online. It's one of the radios that actually give music, African rumba music. I mean music from Zimbabwe, music from Africa, elsewhere in West Africa, music from Nigeria, music from Ghana, music from Somalia. That radio is online. Don't go anywhere else if you want to listen to good African music. Next is none other than Gladwell Kiragu, sorry. Gladwell Kiragu is in Juja, in Kiambu district. Good afternoon, Gladwell.
A very good afternoon to you, Doc. Good afternoon to my fellow panelists, and good afternoon to our viewers. Today I'm in Parklands Avenue Hospital.
Thank you very much. You are being told that people have been demanding that very soon you should show your face. And I think after you come out, we are sorry about your being near the hospital with a patient. We pray for you and you pray for your dad to come out of the hospital. May that help you, guide you. But soon when you come out, people need to see your face. Thank you, Gladwell. Next is none other than our investigative journalist. Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are. We don't know where you are today. Mr. Wesonga Daniel Sean.
Yes, a very good afternoon, Dr. Masanga David. Good afternoon to my fellow panelists, to our viewers who are watching us from Nairobi, Kenya, East Africa, and the rest of the globe in the African Showdown. And I'm coming to you live from a section of our headquarters here in Nairobi, and it is my pleasure to be on the conversation this particular afternoon.
Thank you very much. Viewers across, is there another one on the channel? On the line? Nobody. They will join in later. We have Paul Onyango and Marine. They seem not to be knowing that there is a show going on. And we shall find out why they are, but they will be joining. Let's look at the headlines, the news headlines across the continent of Africa, starting with Kenya. In the Sunday Nation, how Raila will choose Azimio running mate. This issue seems to be running across every divide of the politics of Kenya. People are having headaches of running mate. Me, in my head, I know who can pattern up with Raila to win an election. And I'm not happy with some of the suggestions, the names here. Some of the names here will bring us a problem, and we are going to come up with some solutions that are not very good. But if I was asked quietly, I would name the person who can win an election with Azimio presidential candidate. The names that we see here, some of them are not very good to select any person. I have never trusted some people, but because I speak my mind, I don't know about you, but I speak my mind. I am not happy about some of the names here, but because of redemption strategy and for them to be given the mandate to choose, they have spoiled elsewhere, and you want to give them the mandate to choose a running mate. They are going to spoil us the vote. They are going to kill the unit of purpose that we are seeking for. And I speak my mind nowadays. I want to say the truth. The names here, apart from one name that is credible, the rest should not be on the panel. I'm sorry. Thank you. I don't know what you have, but that is my opinion. UDA polls reveal Ruto's strengths and weaknesses. Too many weaknesses in UDA polls. A headline, you can see it on the newspaper on your screen. I'm just going through what is available here. And then we have Kenneth falling out with DP. Why Odinga will win presidency? Yes, all of us know that Odinga will win the presidency, and that's why we want to get a better running mate. Odinga has mentioned on fighting corruption. So the one Jesus Christ said he will fight once he enters Jerusalem, which he did throughout traders who were very bad, trading in his daddy's house. That is what we wait to see. Two articles that touch my heart is yesterday Liverpool won, and I don't think I am going to allow Wesonga to tell me anything more. Liverpool won. We beat our arch rivals to reach the finals. Reach finals, ending seated. They have been there for a long time, and God gave us the strength. The day Jesus was going to resurrect, at night we won. That touches me. And then we have a very serious matter here. MPs call a crisis talks after salaries. You see, they only call a crisis talk, parliament, after salaries are affected, after allowances are affected. But they are not calling for a crisis when things are bad, when fuel is being exported into neighboring countries, then brought back to be sold by French nationals, by regime changers. I have told people the one thing that I always keep quiet and talk is because I'm a black person and I studied the same political science that the Wazungu studied. People in Africa listen to the black man when he's in trouble, but they don't listen to him when he is all right. I think Wesonga and the panel will tell me more. I have been one of the few people emphasizing that for you to employ a Frenchman in any country, you are just bringing a regime change. Total Oil, all the employees, 90% of Total Oil who come from France are DSGE agents, and they will regime change you. Zimbabwe, Tanzania, Uganda, Congo, believe me or not, they will regime change you. South Africa, they put South Africa in turmoil. From the time South Africa gave the biggest contract of making the railway, revamping the South African railway to a French company, Thabo Mbeki collapsed, Zuma collapsed. We don't know who is collapsing next. Regime change. George Soros, the only country on earth where one man runs banks, like 7 banks, and the country itself has very few, is France. George Soros runs all the banks in Paris. And Africans, some of them have read all these things, but they don't want to listen. When another African is talking, they call Matanga, he makes noise. There are some friends of mine who joke with me very badly, and I feel so hard when I spend years studying these systems, and when you are telling people that these guys can regime change you, then they say, you are making noise. And the person who is talking to you cannot write an essay. Cannot write an essay. It's just a paper guy telling people, I can do this, I can do this. These are the people that we should not entertain in Africa. We are here. There you are. Regime change is close to the doors. We shall see in the second half. The Standard. Ruto, Raila, headache over poll losers. Poll losers are a terrible problem to the democracy of Africa. Therefore, I think it could be very wise for both parties to handle them very carefully. But we shall see where the mess is. Is the ICC also being part of the mess? Not ICC, IEBC being the part of the mess of what we have today in Africa. The return of Ngengi Mungai. This guy has come back to reclaim the glory of the family, because Gatundu South needs an MP worth, not an MP who is bankrupt upstairs, bankrupt in ideas, who's a social media MP like Kuria. Kuria is more powerful on social media, but he's not powerful on the legs. He doesn't have even the legs to move faster. So he's only powerful when he sees Ruto. He wants to kneel and even kiss Ruto's shoes. These are the people that Africa has. Unfortunately, he is the owner of a constituency where the president comes from. So welcome back, my friend Ngengi Mungai. We have been friends for a long time, since those days of Kenatico. 680 and 80, 81, 82, I don't know where Wesonga was. But this is, and some of the people on the panel. But I was already working, and Ngengi was one of my greatest friends whenever I could visit Nairobi. Welcome to the show. Daniel, I don't know how old you were.
I was existing, Dr. Masanga.
You were what?
Anyone of us on the panel was actually alive by that time.
And you 1980, you were alive?
Oh, yeah, I was born in 1993.
Boss, that's why I'm saying, when I came to Nairobi to use a Kanatiko, you were not alive. Somebody in the studio is laughing at you, but Stephen was alive, by the way. I don't know, but I don't know, but we shall check our general manager whether he was alive. But thank you very much, viewers across the continent of Africa. We have Speaker Muturi, the man who, a Judas who has betrayed the cause of Honorable Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta. Why can't the speaker just resign and keep the integrity of the parliament and leave the parliament in the hands of the panel of speakers who are not seeking office? There are speakers there who are not seeking office. But the speaker of parliament now is biased, is actually a loose cannon who can bring this country to chaos. How the wife in the house lives with this man. Speaker Muturi is very angry. Maybe we should investigate. Any investigative journalist, Wesonga, can you check whether this house has no domestic violence? Because the guy is very angry with everybody. He has got a problem of speech therapy and very angry. And when you tell him something, he wants to kill you. He wants to throw you out. And he is very busy dilly-dallying with William Ruto at night. Comes back. He is plunging this country to chaos. Mimi nazungumza ya haki. Kama mnataka nitaenda, lakini natumiza haki. I'm not going to keep quiet and see this type of mess. The democracy of Kenya has been coming and coming. The only place left where we can see a symbol of democracy was Parliament. Judiciary was captured by George Soros. Even the new Chief Justice became a part of conveyor belt. So, look, Parliament is also going. Ruto is capturing everything. And then he turns around to tell people that he is, the thing has been captured. It is Ruto who was captured. And he told you that he failed BBI. He paid the judges to fail BBI. He said it. Unfortunately, the Kenyans, some of them don't want to hear. But for me, I'll tell the truth. Remind you, when time comes, we shall say hallelujah to all of us.
Yes, and I agree with you, Dr. Masanga. You know, the fact that the Speaker of the National Assembly can actually express his emotions and dissatisfaction during when the women rep, that is Fatuma Gedi, was talking about land grabbers in this country. You could actually see the acrimony, the kind of face that he was making. He was very much an kind of talk. And as a speaker, I believe he should be a bipartisan member of the House, so that he gives other sides or both sides of the House rather the ample time to represent and be able to churn out the ideas without appearing that he's actually aligning to some other political side or maybe a certain narrative. And as it is right now, Dr. Masanga, I believe I stand in the same pew with you, and we demand that the Speaker of the National Assembly, that is JB Muturi, unconditionally resigns and hands over the tools of the House to another speaker who will be able to actually lead us until this parliament is dissolved. And unless that is done, we are not going to have a very easy time in parliament. Remember, we are already having him actually postponing parliament for 2 weeks. That is going to paralyze the new budget that was read, and it's going to have implications even on the elections that are going to come. If the parliament is not able to approve that particular budget in the soonest time possible, then it means that we are going to meet a lot of obstacles along the way. So I think the speaker should be bipartisan. If he cannot manage, and of course he has already signed and appended his signature to Kenya Kwanza coalition, which means he's a member of Kenya Kwanza, not a speaker, he should actually resign and vacate office in the soonest time possible. I submit.
Thank you very much, viewers across the continent of Africa and in America. Those watching us, thank you. I've got greetings from America. And Wekesa Eric, thank you very much. Yamakofi Kiputunai, thank you very much. Emmanuel Marwal from South Sudan, thank you very much. And Frederick Mulika from United States of America, thank you very much. We are on the subject, the preparations of elections. You have heard the headlines, Speaker, and the unfinished business of Gedi versus the Speaker and versus Ruto. Ruto is a land grabber. If you have been convicted for grabbing land in a court, you are called a land grabber, period. There is no other name. And let's be honest. In Africa, let's be honest, there is no other name in Africa of a man who has been convicted of grabbing land of Muteshi, and Muteshi died, went down to 6 feet to his maker without taking a mango from the land. You are fixed as a grabber, a land grabber. There is nothing short of that. So that another business is still there. Then we have some very funny story. I have been traveling Kenya Airways, and I want the government to hear this. Especially His Excellency the President, because now at my age of 67, I have to talk the truth. And today Jesus has risen. We have a very big problem. And the problem we have with Kenya Airways, Mr. President, is that I have traveled this airline since 1985, where Songa was not anywhere near there. Again, I score marks. I have traveled this airline when Mumbai was Bombay. I have traveled this airline, Calcutta. Have you ever heard of a capital city? Calcutta is what? When Calcutta was Bombay, sorry, because Bombay is still there.
Yes.
Yes. New Delhi. I've gone on the first flight to India. Mr. President, 1985, 86, 87, 85, 86, I was traveling in this airline. I'm a member of Platinum Elite Plus Life member of this airline. There is no other airline I travel in, even if there is an emergency, unless my mother has died. I use Kenya Airways to come to Africa, then connect to New York through South African Airlines. But what made me to fear South African Airlines, they have very good Airbus. But that when you are coming towards Brazil, where the two worlds meet, there is a very terrible wind there, which has made me scared. Then I tried to use, I tried to come back and go through KLM because it was linked to Kenya Airways. But the government of Kenya should be told the truth about pumping money in this airline. There is very bad management in this airline, Mr. President. People eat the money. The standards have collapsed. I don't drink alcohol anymore. But I speak the truth for the people, for the services. If you go to Emirates, you might not come back to Kenya Airways. That's the subject we have here. That's why we have this national television to talk about the things, a community television to tell the government the truth positively, to change. We are not here to harm anybody. We don't want anybody to lose the job. But Michael Joseph himself has come out and said, my wife tells me just give up Kenya Airways. I am also saying the same, Mr. President, that change some people in Kenya Airways. They are habitual thieves who steal the money. They are there. Hala, they are there. You have pumped in a lot of money in this airline. But it doesn't grow. It doesn't even give you any. I travel for this airline alone. Check my name for 35 years. I think my money has bought a plane in this airline. But there's something wrong with it. What is wrong with it? Management. Supplies, logistics. Mr. President, supplies, logistics. People have bought things for years. Very bad quality of service. The brand that is drunk on the Kenya Airline, you have paid a ticket of 400,000 Kenya shillings to go to London. And you have a very dangerous brand on board in business class called Camus. What is Camus? What is rubbish is this? What is Camus? A brandy from where? Where is this? This place where they eat frogs. Where is this? France. Why don't you take Martel? We used to have cognac. We used to have Hennessy. Mr. President, these things are not there. Let's speak for the people. You have pumped money into this airline. It is now coming out. Even the man who has made Safaricom is getting scared. Some people are eating money building apartments. Apparently, every Kenyan wants to build apartments. I don't know whether we shall have place for children to play. Hello. I'm lecturing today. Hello, Wesonga. Let me start with Gladwell. How are you, Gladwell?
I'm very fine, Doc.
Make your comments. I have excited you enough. Make your comments.
Yeah, Doc, I'll just highlight on a few issues. Your opening remarks, is Africa changing? Yes, and what I will say is that Africa can change depending on how we will take the leads, we as Africans. At the same time, we are the cause of our problems, and you're also the solution to our problems.
Steven.
And every choice we make depends with us, because it all starts with the leadership that we get, the leaders who we want to elect. We are run, for example, in Kenya, we got people who are in power, in position, who are corrupt, the greed from our leaders. And that's why, for example, Kenya is a little bit stagnant compared to there before. So what I will say with that, is Africa changing? The question is within us. Are we changing Africa, or we just destroying Africa? Where would we want us to be in the next 10 years? And if you said everybody's aim currently is to get apartments, live a posh life, but at the same time as we all trying to make it and have goals in life, what are our plans for Africa? Because yes, we can have a pushy life, but you can't build a pushy life in, for example, in Kenya, a country that has no peace, a country that has bad leadership. So as we also trying to make our lives better, can we start with how we are trying to make our countries look like and how they will be in the next future to come? Because, Doc, to be honest, the generation that was there, this is not the current generation that we're having. These are two different generations. The way my parents were raised, it's all the same way they raised me, and it's all the same way actually I raised my kids. So as we also try to do 1, 2, 3 things, that we have the goals, can we also ask ourselves, are we making the goals? Are we making our Africa, are we making Kenya a better country, or are we just worsening the situation? I submit.
Jesus, thank you very much as risen. Today is a day of joy. But Africa finds itself in no joy. Kenya Airways, they want to pump in more money. What went wrong? What went wrong? Pambe.
Yes, good afternoon, my fellow panelists. And I would like to submit some of my points here, because I agree with you, but you're asking a question whether Africa is changing. And I was also asking myself the same question, because what I'm seeing, the issues that are coming up is about just economy and fight against corruption has actually been marred with a lot of challenges. And this may come out because of greed of money and desires. Talking of the apartments, everybody wanting the apartments, everybody wanting pushy life, everybody wanting easy life to come by. You know, like when I remember those days, although when I was not even born and you were born, Dr., you find that things could come just slowly. You build up wealth slowly. But nowadays, someone wants to wake up and just, I think it's just a matter of competition also. And another thing that also comes up is the higher levels of inefficiency in administrative structures. When you are given a certain office to manage, why can't you just manage it in a way that can better other people's lives, for the countrymen to also better their lives? So people just come up with their desires and greed for money to build wealth in that particular position that have been given. That is not very good for Africa. And also another thing, we have low levels of democracy sometimes. We also have weak civil participation and low political transparency. For example, what's happening in most of the parts of Africa and even parts of here in Kenya, when what you have just talked about, you find that when there's time for building democracy, people don't really focus on that. People focus on the weak points and also bringing about weak links that actually will thwart even the process and the efforts of those who are fighting for democracy. For example, we have seen here in Kenya, you find Mr. President, for example, trying to fight for the Big Four agenda. You find some people politicizing the same. People saying, oh, we cannot eat roads, we cannot do this, we cannot, infrastructure. Yet that is part of the Big Four agenda. So I think all that is all about politicization, greed for money, and also the desires. I submit, Daktari.
Thank you very much for that insight, and thank you very much for giving us. Can you give us the taste of your music in the studio, please? What music do you have? Look for a good number. When I come back to you, we shall end up with the African music from Radio Africa, Punchline Africa radio station that I created for Africa, with Africa by Africa. Let's listen. So thank you very much. Wesonga, your thoughts on Kenya Airways and Muturi, and your thoughts of what is happening. Kenya Airways, what's your thoughts? What are your thoughts?
Thank you so much, Dr. Masanga David. And first of all, I would like to begin with the story of the Speaker of the National Assembly, Justin Muturi, who is a former magistrate who also served in YK92, and he was a proxy of the Moi regime that was actually crashing on the pro-democracy crusaders of the day. So therefore, not really surprised when he joins hands and works with William Ruto against his bosom buddy, President Uhuru Kenyatta, who actually took him from a distraction of alcoholism back in the village in Chicago and brought him back into the political life and made him a Speaker of the National Assembly. So I believe it's a question of hypocrisy, it's a question of being principled, and it's a question of being giving back a hand to people who stand back with you. And in as much as that question is concerned, Speaker Justin Muturi has failed terribly in standing with his friend, President Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta. So in those particular matters, I leave it at that. Going to the question of the Kenya Airways, I believe as a Kenyan who grew up when KQ was known as the pride of Africa, it is actually a very, very sad state of affairs that today we are witnessing KQ that is actually plummeting in its profits, a name that is actually dwindling in the global airline sphere, and in terms of the best companies that we had in the country, that is back in the day. And therefore it makes me sad to hear about Kenya Airways actually making losses year in, year out. And I'll go back to whatever Dr. Masanga you introduced in the conversation in the Kenyan governance and leadership structure, where you say that most problems that we face as a country is because we have people who are in offices, high offices in government, who lack social contracts with the people and the Republic of Kenya. You know, if you do not have a social contract with your country, it means you will not be very keen to ensure that governance and even management of any resources of any parastatal of any government agency is actually done with integrity, is done with the diligence, and you are able to account for every money that is given. That is why in our in various government departments and parastatals, we have a history of people who come in as MDs, people who come in as parastatal chiefs, only to leave when the parastatals are actually falling on their knees. We've seen the case of what was happening in Kenya Meat Commission before the president actually roped in the military to come and resuscitate the parastatal. We saw whatever happened at NEDC. We saw whatever was happening even in Kenya Power. We've seen whatever has been happening in various government parastatals across the country. And it is really a very sad state of affairs, Dr. Masanga. We lack a social contract as a people. We do not even have the slightest regard of the resources that the government commits to be able to elevate and to be able to give a muscle, a financial muscle to these parastatals to grow so that they can be able to offer jobs to Kenyans, they can be able to generate revenue which will be reinvested in other sectors of the economy to make sure that Kenya emerges as a vibrant economy in East Africa, Africa, and globally. So I think we've actually missed the point, and the remedy for all these problems that we are facing is actually what you are recommending, that we need to restructure our parastatals and other government-owned entities so that we have new breed of leaders, new breed of people who can be able to bring in new ideas, people who can be able to govern and manage the parastatals with the integrity and transparency, so that we can be able to see the economic embrace that countries like Singapore, countries like United Arab Emirates, countries like Malaysia have been seeing over the years. In the year 1963, Malaysia was far way behind us in terms of economic development. Singapore was way below us in the same realm. Indonesia was actually lagging behind in the same realm. But look at us right now and compare with those Asian tigers where they are. And this is because these people had two choices to make: either to stand with their countrymen and be able to offer leadership of integrity and grow the economy, or loot the monies that were allocated to various government parastatals, entities, and departments, and enrich themselves. So it is a matter of social contract, deciding that if I utilize this money well, the billions that have been given by the government to invest in KQ, then this money will actually come back to us as a people, as a country, in the form of increasing job opportunities, expanding the business, and actually now with that expansion, being able to generate much revenue that will be able to be reinvested in other sectors of the economy. And at the end of the day, it will be a win-win situation for the government of Kenya, for the people of Kenya, and the organization itself. But for us today as it is, we are far away from that, because most of the people who are the helm of leadership for a parastatal, for a company like KQ, they're actually only looking on how much they can be able to steal, so that they go to Kilimani, they buy a plot of land, they build apartments, they go to South Sea, they build apartments, they accumulate wealth in a very, very ignorant and primitive way. In the grass, the vast majority who are supposed to be benefiting from this money that has been pumped into these parastatals by government are actually missing out. They're actually wallowing in poverty. And it is not the fault of the president. It is not the fault of government itself or the treasury, because money has been allocated. But the buck stops at the door of the leaders, of the people who lead these government entities. They do actually need to have what we call the social contract, which you have been preaching here day in, day out. How I wish that the president and the relevant government agencies will be able to move in with speed and be able to ensure an audit is done at KQ, and we ensure that the monies that might have been stolen from the organization are actually reimbursed back to the people of Kenya, and is actually put in a more helpful venture that will impact on the lives and the economy of the people of Kenya. And maybe just to expound on that, why would KQ actually raise the price of air tickets, whereas the services do not go in tandem with what maybe expectations their consumers will actually be looking out for? You've just mentioned the kind of even the after sales services they offer, low quality services, whereas the government is pumping in money, whereas they actually are heightening the air tickets. What would they use actually as an airline to maybe persuade passengers not to use maybe Qatar Airways or Ethiopian Airline or maybe KLM, and maybe basing on what they are offering, and maybe just assuming that because these are Kenyan brand, Kenyans should actually use it, whereas they are charging high air tickets, whereas they are offering poor services, whereas they are actually having delays in their flights. So I think a total overhaul of KQ needs to be done, and it needs to start from the top leadership, that is the management. They need all to be sent home, and the president should replicate whatever was done at Kenya Meat Commission, whatever that was done at NMS, whatever has been done in various critical government agencies, to ensure that we have people who have patriotism, people who have loyalty, and who are very, very committed to serving their country, take the leadership at KQ and ensure they turn around the reports in terms of profits and losses that are coming from the entity. Otherwise, if it is left to be like that, I think KQ is going to collapse. And it will be happening at the time when government has actually pumped in more money in rejuvenating the venture. And actually the chairman, that is Michael Joseph, had said that in the next 3 years, KQ will be looking forward to turning ventures around from making losses into profits. But unless that is done, then I think KQ is going to collapse, because you cannot keep on doing things the same way and expect different results. If those corrupt individuals, if those plunderers are not exited from the helm of KQ, then we are looking at another dead parastatal, and that is going to have an implication on the economy of the Republic of Kenya. It's going to have an implication even for many people who are working at KQ, from sweepers all the way to the pilots of the parastatal, and therefore it will be a very, very unfortunate encounter to have to happen in our economy and in our country. So I believe changes are needed at KQ, and if not, then we must be facing or maybe looking at another collapse of a very, very well celebrated brand that was actually the pride of Africa, like we used to have Mumias, many more that collapsed. I submit, Dr. Masanga.
Thank you. Thank you very much, viewers. We now come back to our quickly in the next 15 minutes, and I want to ask all of you to be short, precise, and you don't make too many statements. How prepared are we? How prepared is the IEBC?
I'm there,
who is there?
Paul. I'm on my phone.
Who is there? Paul.
Yes.
Paul, how are you?
I'm fine.
Yeah, go ahead, Paul.
I would like to make some remarks on the topic concerning J.B. Mukiri, the Speaker of the National Assembly.
Yes.
And also the Kenya Airways. Mr. Speaker has already declared his position in political parties in the next general election. I think it is high time he should have resigned long ago. If he does not only resign as he was speaking last time in Parliament, the Azimio MPs should put him out. Should make sure that he's not attending the parliamentary sessions. Otherwise, he will make more Parliament more polarized than the way it is. Coming back to KQ, the government of Kenya, one particular thing with the state corporations in Africa, there is this thing called incompetency, nepotism, tribalism. These are some of the things that are making the corporation not work. Senior managers or the people in charge of the transport, they should not be part of the trade within the organization. These are some of the things that is posing this. It is without corruption. They want to do the tender. They inflate figures. So you cannot never know whether this corporation is meant for eating or is meant to do this kind of service there, this service to the country. So it is my humble request that the government should ensure that the state corporation is managed well. Competent people are made around the company. And at the same time, the employees that they are not applied from the same people in government employing their own relatives and everybody else. When we safeguard the transparency and the running of the expectations, you will see some good work happening. Like the rescue that with the other airlines, the private airlines. In most cases, government services are always not taken care of because of the politics of the country. If the politicians will be part of the running of the investigations, the efficiency will not be there. That's my take.
Thank you very much. Viewers, we have wrapped up that section. And I want in 15 minutes, to crack this question and give your answers, yes or no, and perhaps with a small comment. My question goes to Gladwell Kiragu. How prepared is IEBC for 2022 elections, given the fragile party nominations? How prepared? Well, badly, middle, good, worse, confused? Any of those. You can use any of those answers. Gladwell.
How prepared is the IEBC?
Yes.
We are getting an IEBC that is very confused, an IEBC that is very terrible, and I'm basing it on the happenings of the nominations just few days. I think it was the day before yesterday, and as we can see the results, that is what we are not expecting such a thing to happen. I mean, it were just nominations, and there was rigging in most parts of the country. The results, some are not even fair to some of the people. I mean, why would one want somebody out so that the person can give a ticket, a direct ticket? So what I'm saying, and I'm just making it brief, IEBC is confused. It doesn't know what it wants, or rather it's lacking the basics to run an election. And my plea to IEBC, that is the way you're going to run the main general election. You just better tell us, we are Kenyans, we want a peaceful country. Just say we're not ready. And yes, actually we can say you're not ready. So actually it won't be a big deal to us as Kenyans. Because what the IEBC will do, if it conducts the election the way it did with the UDA nominations, we are done as Kenyans. There will be no peace. We'll just be back to the 2007, 2008 election and the violence. And that is not what we don't want such a thing to happen, to repeat itself again. So as for the IEBC, I'm sorry to say that, but you've shown a weakness and you have shown a confusion. Yes.
Thank you very much. 2 words there. Shown weakness, confusion. Paul, are you there?
Yes.
And how prepared is the IEBC for 2022 elections, given the nature of the fragile nominations that we saw over the weekend?
I can say IEBC is confused, just like Gladwell has said. Because the last time we spoke that there was no money. There was no money. At the same time, we had some court cases, which some of them have not been cleared. So far, Kebukati has not given us an idea what he has been able to do with the money has been given, what is remaining, what is looking for. There's not it completely. There's no everything that he has given us as Kenyans, so that we may be able to assess and give them marks before the general elections. So are we just there to wait and see whether it is going to fail or it's going to fail? It's like all upon the IEBC and the entire team. They need to brief us what steps to which they are prepared and what is still pending, or we can assume that all is right. That's my take.
That's your take. Confusion. Well, Songa, what do you think? Are we prepared? Is the IEBC prepared for the general elections of August? Yes or no? Confused,
IEBC is not prepared, Dr. Matsanga. And for you to be able to rank IEBC on the basis of your questions, then me to answer, I'll have to look at Wafula Chebukati. And Wafula Chebukati does not inspire any confidence. He does not even inspire any kind of integrity in him as a man. And therefore, I'll go with my fellow panelists to say that IEBC is confused.
Thank you. Pambe.
All right. Thank you for this chance. And actually, my take on IEBC is not prepared, and therefore I give it a scale of middle. It's middle prepared. Why? Because recently we heard from the commission of IEBC, Francis Wandere, that slightly 260 polling stations have not been fitted with 3G networks for the transmission of results in August general election. What does that mean? That means that roughly 11,000 polling stations will lack 3G mobile network coverage. So are they even prepared to see how that will work? Are they prepared to see how they will actually transmit such elections? So I can say that they are still not well prepared for these elections.
So your keywords:
yes.
Confused, disorganized. Which other word do you want to use?
Yes, I can use disorganized. I can use disorganized. Why? Because even recently, the Auditor General announced a certain disappearance of critical election technology equipment. According to my research here, biometric voter registration kits and laptops disappeared, according to the Auditor General's report. This is a report that was released recently, that was on 14th of March. And it was tabled on, in a National Assembly. He said that 3,925 BVR kits were missing. And there are also integrated electoral systems, the kits were also missing there. Like 392 laptops were missing, 1,315 hard disks were missing, 116 fingerprint scanners were missing, 208 webcams were missing. Where were they going to?
So can you?
That report.
I would like I would like you to send me that list. That
report.
Yeah, yes. That report. Send it to me on my line.
I will.
Thank you very much for bringing us. Can you give us an interlude of music from that station?
Okay, the music is here.
Which song?
This is Sansa ya Pepia by Madilu System.
Okay.
Madilu System Sansa ya Pepia.
Okay. Show us the microphone. How you play in that studio? Where's your mic? Your what is it called?
Mic when I'm on, eh?
No, you just pull it and show to us. You are on TV.
Okay. So the mic is here. I think I can.
Yes.
I just show you
yes.
how
yes. Okay, yeah, just leave us to listen to Madru. Yeah, just leave to listen. Oh mama, oh mama, it is a Sunday and Jesus has risen, so we can't be gloomy in the studios. That is our radio station, Africa Punchline, Radio Africa Punchline, all the way from Nairobi. It's one of the biggest radios on the line. Enjoy the music. That is Madilu from DRC Congo, an East African community state. Viewers, thank you very much. Pambe, thank you for that music. I think soon you should also go like this lady called Sinzore of Radio Maisha. I don't know why you are shying yourself from going like a Sinzore.
I should be dancing around.
Yes, you should be dancing.
Yes.
If you have a problem, you call me. Yes. I'm the main dancer.
Okay.
Thank you very much. God bless you.
Okay.
Thank you very much, viewers across the continent of Africa. You have been listening to the views that come from Kenya. Kenya is undergoing an election. Can I do my take away on this one of Kenya? Take away. Across the continent of Africa, many countries talk about elections. But do these countries know the meaning of elections? Do we talk about elections as a sign of lamentation, but not as a sign of numbers? Do we look at elections as a sign of numbers and we start lamenting of what happened? How far have we gone to correct the mess that elections in Africa have created to our economies? The retarding of all the aspects of social, economic, and political gains that African countries have got. Elections seem to be one of the tearing triggers that has killed this continent. In Kenya 2022, we are preparing, the country is preparing, gearing towards an election. But this election seems to be seem to be very weak. The management seem to be weak. The confusion surrounding the election itself is confused. The information is confused. The voters register is not yet out. They have broken all norms of laws. And as we see today, the Kenya Parliament is not eager to change anything, or it is sitting too late, even postponing the Parliament for 2 weeks because the Speaker is more confused than the Parliament itself. The Speaker of Parliament of Kenya is more confused than the building itself. A humble building that was built in the 1960s to cater for democracy, as a symbol of democracy for the people of Kenya, has turned into the theater of absurd. A theater of absurd where the Speaker and both speakers seem to be, for the first time in the history of Kenya, even under Moi's regime, the speakers never involved themselves while they are in office about declaring where they stand. I think we have a problem here. The IEBC itself in Kenya seem to be in tatters. They are telling us laptops got lost, BVR machines, those that read the election itself, that transmit other results are missing. We are hearing about this only 3 months to the election time. And the people of Kenya seeing this, or it is only me who is Paul teaching or talking to the Gentiles? Paul, a Gentile, talking to the Jews. Are we having a problem? My letter to the people of Philippi, Paul wrote and said, remember, there might be the worst coming after me. But today, as I speak, the 2022 general elections in Kenya stand in a messy ground that the IEBC itself doesn't know what it wants, when it wants, how it wants. Voter education is minimal. Voter apathy is real and is going to be worse because the people feel they have nothing to choose from. Because when you parade thieves. You put thieves, remove people and put thieves. When you tell people that your party is Mama Mboga and then you don't see any Mama Mboga on the ballot, then you have told a fraudulent lie. This election, therefore, is an election which will determine the destiny of our next topic that I'm going to discuss today. That is my take, that the Kenyan election, how prepared is the IEBC, is answers that I got. The ICC is weak, the ICC is confused, the ICC is disorganized on the preparations of these elections. I submit. Thank you very much. We come back to the topic which we are going to Africa. What are the triggers of regime change in Africa? When doing this topic, when thinking about this topic today, I thought about so many things that are happening on the continent of Africa, ranging from Malawi, Zimbabwe, South Africa, Guinea, Burkina Faso, Libya, Eritrea, Ethiopia. We have the same. Somalia now, the parliament is ready to elect a president. The president is not ascending to that because the MPs were elected or they were majorly coming from the prime minister. Is the election a trigger to the regime change, or is it being used as a regime change trigger? If you look at Zimbabwe, for example, one of the Southern African countries that has been under the spell of regime change for almost 20 years. What are the triggers that could trigger people to come to the streets of Harare, trigger people to come to the streets of Malawi? Let's look at the pictures there. You can see several pictures of people demonstrating on the streets talking about elections. Elections and elections. People want elections, credible elections. Is it the main trigger, or the West has got its own agenda to make sure that Africa does not stabilize? My panel still, I will ask cardinal questions. One of the questions I would like to ask: is there somebody triggering a regime change in Africa? Gladwell. If Gladwell is not there, Paul, is there a trigger to regime change in Africa? Paul?
I feel there is that possibility because we have seen a lot of instability at Sudan, particularly. Since independence, the country has never gone through any election or preparing for any particular election. Since that time until today, there's been on and off war between Salva Kiir and Riek Machar. The people of South Sudan need to re-elect or elect new MPs in parliament, such that there can be a progress. We cannot have MPs that were there during the time of the first parliament, and this all those years. There will be no progress if there's no election in that country. Coming back to our neighbor Somalia. Our neighbor Somalia, they speak one language, but there seem to be differences because different factions are supported by different people in different countries. Which means that it's always invested in interest. Maybe the Somalian coast has a lot of fish, there are mineral deposits unexploited. These are some of the things that attract the powers to be, that may create confusion and instability in that country such that these things can be exploited. The same way they did with the DRC Congo. So I think the instability we see in Africa mostly is because of the resources that are there. They are meant to be grabbed by some people outside Africa and let them achieve whatever the intended purpose for their economy. Meanwhile, this economy go down the drain. People die of hunger, people die of disease, people don't go to school, there's no progress. That is my take.
Thank you very much. Wesonga, what are the triggers of regime change in Africa? Is it bad governance? Is it we the people? Is it the governments in power, the sitting governments? Is it external forces, the darker forces? You see, for the first time in Sudan, and I sent that trip to Stephen of South Sudan yesterday. I knew you could bring it here. For the first time after several years, it was only yesterday or on Saturday, on Friday, sorry, that Riek Machar was able to swear in a united command of commanders of Salva Kiir and him and Riek Machar. Only yesterday, only a few days ago, after so many people have died, after so many people have perished, accountability zero. Is it an election? Does Africa know what an election is? Do you know yourself, Mr. Wisonga, what an election is?
Thank you so much, Dr. Matsanga. And of course, the regime change topic in the African continent is a very, very critical, but yet a very contentious matter when we talk about it here in Africa. And to just put it in context, in a contextual perspective, we've seen whatever has been happening in South Sudan. We've seen whatever has been happening in the Sudan. We've seen whatever that has been happening in West Africa and many other regions of Africa. And when maybe we talk about regime change, mostly we focus on the people who are outside Africa. These are people who work behind the scenes, like George Soros, who are actually funding dissident groups in Africa. Countries like France, which are actually working with rebels to actually unstabilize the legitimately elected government of the day. And to me, I'll say that the biggest triggers of regime change in Africa these people outside Africa, the third forces outside Africa, who actually finance, fund, and actually arm the rebels and dissidents in Africa to take the people on the streets to be able to rebel and destabilize the government of the day. However, we must not entirely say that it is only the likes of George Soros, France, and many other regime change agencies that actually work against the democratically elected governments in Africa. We also have leaders to blame for the instability that we are having in Africa. Some leaders, just like you mentioned, for example, in South Sudan, the leaders who are involved in the stalemate that we are having in South Sudan have been ignoring some of the critical steps that rather would have been taken to salvage the situation in the country. We've seen countries like Cameroon, where someone like Paul Biya has been in power for decades and decades without giving any indication of relinquishing power. We have countries like South Sudan, where we have, not South Sudan, but rather Nigeria, where we have someone like President Muhammadu Buhari, who has been infringing on the rights of the people of Nigeria, who has been purging the people of Nigeria, abducting and killing their women and their youth with impunity. Those are actions that have been actually cultivating people and making them ripe and vulnerable to fall for the bait of the regime change agents like George Soros. Whenever we have a country where people are actually vulnerable because the leadership of the day treats them with discrimination and impunity, then it makes it even much easier for the regime change agencies to actually penetrate their evil hands to the people and be able to induce the demonstrations and the unrest that you've seen that have orchestrated many regimes to fall. So to me, Dr. Matsanga, I think first and foremost, it is the people who are giving out money through NGOs like George Soros, countries like France, like Qatar, who wants to meddle in the affairs of the other countries, and lastly, the leaders who actually do not actually follow to the instructions or maybe to the advice that people like you, Dr. Matsanga, and many other Pan-Africans actually think it's the way forward to be able to solve locally maybe instigated conflicts and be able to evade and deny the regime change agents any fodder to be able to carry out their evil plans. And lastly, we the people also have become vulnerable. Today, you are given money and you are told to go to the streets, and without even interrogating what will be the consequences of my going to the streets to demonstrate, what will happen if my country falls into mayhem, we just accept the money, go to the streets, participating in something that we do not know anything about. And that is how most countries have actually fallen into chaos. For example, if I take you back in Kenya, recently there was a hashtag named lower prices. No one actually knows where this hashtag came from, but the grapevine has it that some people were paid. It was a sponsored hashtag, and that is the same thing that we've been seeing across Africa. That hashtags coming into social media space overnight and actually taking countries by storm. And before you know it, people are on the streets demonstrating on a cause they do not know anything about. And that actually ends up in a regime actually falling. And when the regime falls, it is the people who actually suffer the consequences of instability, the chaos, and the eventual bloodbath that follows it. So to me, Dr. Masanga, we have ourselves to blame. We have the leaders that we have to blame. But on the larger percentage, we have people who bring in that blood money, the evil money, to ensure that the activities of regime change are actually funded in Africa and they are well coordinated through their agents. I submit.
Thank you very much. Is there anybody else? No.
Perhaps just to add on what
Pambi.
We have the regime strategies that have actually been carried out in Africa. And these have all been coming out because of domestic processes such as revolution, coup, or reconstruction of government following state failure or civil war. And this can also be imposed on a country by foreign actors, the way you put it down, Dr. Matanga. This can be done through invasion, overt or covert interventions, or coercing of diplomacy by states like France, states like perhaps Germany and so on, even Russia. So this can also be coming out because of political and economic instability and weak democratic institutions. Just like Mr. Wesonga said there, or has put it, you find that if there's just a simple situation like perhaps a fuel issue that has been witnessed in this country or within Africa, this has not only been caused by perhaps one country or our leadership here in Africa, but you find that there's a group of people who just come up perhaps with a hashtag or start lamenting, start criticizing the government which is in position, saying, oh, you are the ones who have made this situation to be like this. No, this has also been brought about by economic instability, but economic instability does not mean that it is the government of the day that is bringing that. It can also be caused perhaps by instability in terms of security, like Russia and Ukraine war has caused a lot of mayhem in economy across the world. I submit, Dr. Matanga.
Thank you very much, viewers. Another takeaway. Across the continent of Africa, we have seen quite a number of activities that lead to regime change from countries in West Africa where coups have taken place, in Central Africa, in South Sudan, in Khartoum, Sudan, in Eritrea, and in Tigray and Ethiopia. Libya itself is burning. When you come to Central African Republic, it's burning. When you go to Cameroon, it's burning. When you go to Nigeria, it's sinking. Every morning you wake up, almost over 4,000 from January to March, over 3,000 Nigerians have been killed and several kidnapped, taken by different sources that we don't know, and the forces, dark forces, Al-Qaeda, Boko Haram, ISIS, across the continent of Africa. The entire continent seems to have somewhere, somehow, people disappearing. What can we do to prevent this type of catastrophe happening to our countries. In Cameroon, for example, the country has been battling a war between Amazonia and the Cameroonian French-speaking country, part of the country. The Amazonians want independence. Resolution 1608 of 1961 gave them the mandate to seek a referendum. Nobody has given them that independence. African Union has never taken up the matter. It has never come to the African Union discussion again. When you come to Democratic Republic of Congo, thanks to Uganda, Kenya, Tanzania, and other countries that have entered Congo at the moment to pacify, to rearrange it, conflicts are everywhere. When you come to Tanzania, when you come to Somalia, across here, battles and battles of regime change, people wanting a change, people being sponsored, people being paid to make changes. Arab states in the Gulf have moved on African continent, paid money to governments, paid money to ministers, prime ministers, presidents to create chaos on this continent. When you go south in Zimbabwe, a constant move of a threat to a regime change, people walking on the streets. In Malawi, people are walking on the streets. Is there something that is triggering this movement of regime change? The answer is yes, there is. George Soros, Open Society Foundation, and the United States of America government, which is currently the Democratic government of Democrats, they headed by Joe Biden. They always move to remove governments, not through military coups. If you are lucky in Africa and you are not removed by a military coup when there is a democratic government in Washington, you must be like a president. What is happening to our continent? Why is the continent going this route? Why are we thinking of coming to the streets instead of resolving most of these things behind the scenes? What has come of us? Africa has been known of resolving its own difficulties without calling in regime change tactics or triggering mechanisms that can destroy our countries. There is a war in Ukraine, between Ukraine and Russia. But we are even being called upon by Ukraine to support them to fight Russia. Why Africa? Why Ukraine is not calling Asian countries to support them? Why is Ukraine not calling the other countries in the world? We are not the only continent. South American countries are very many. Why don't you call Brazil to support you? Why Africa? Why should a Ukrainian president tell African Union that I want to talk to your presidents? Are we seeing something which we don't want to speak about? I think I'll continue speaking about it until Pan-Africanism comes to this continent, until we redirect our efforts towards the rebuilding of our economies, towards the energy of infrastructure, giving the legacies of presidents who have done very well, like President Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta of Kenya, who is leaving a legacy of infrastructure that is for future development, to take your goods up to the ports of export. We cannot do anything much until we realize what triggers elections, what triggers wars, what triggers violent regime change. Bad elections, bad elections, bad elections. If we arrange bad elections, if we prepare bad elections badly, George Soros will come in and give us the yellow ribbons. Bad opposition in Africa also gives bad triggers, gives triggers to a regime change. Opposition in Africa is also being used to just change governments for the sake of change. But what about the governments? The governments in Africa, some of them don't give opposition enough ground, enough stand, enough freedom of choice, association, assembly that is enshrined in their constitutions. Why don't we start working on those freedoms that will allow no foreigner to come into Africa to give us direction, to direct us, to force us to follow the axis of evil. A regime change that kills people, that leaves a country poor, like what took place in Libya, is not a regime change for Africa. I submit. Thank you very much, viewers. Can we have the music as we go? Thank you very much, all of you who have been listening to us. Choose another language. That one of Mutukuzi. What can I do? What can you do? Mutukuzi, for us to go off. I want to thank all of you who have been watching us and listening to us. Our main topic today was on elections everywhere in Africa, in Kenya, and in Africa. Elections trigger regime change. They could bring regime change. There are people outside there waiting to put in fuel for us. Okay. You are spoiling again. I think Wesonga can join to help. Thank you very much. The studio of Radio Punchline Africa. We can see Pambe. Pambe, you better call Gladuelo Karugu. She will tune the studio.
Please let him do.
I think you can see the studio yourself. Gladuelo Kirugu can tune the studio for you. Voila. I think.
Very true.
There you are. Thank you very much, viewers across the continent of Africa. Thank you very much, all of you. Keep a good Easter Sunday. Until we rise, we have Jesus has risen. Thank you very much. We talked about very important. May God help us that Jesus, after this, says, I've risen. On Friday, on Friday, he said, it is finished. Today he has said, we have risen. He has risen. He's gone. He's going to sit on the right-hand side of his father's throne, waiting for Gladwell Kiruga and Matsanga to be judged. As we come in our format, what did we do? We are all sinners. I want to pray to God that, yes, the God, in Jesus' name, I am a sinner. So help me, God. I am a sinner. On that note, thank you very much. Gladwell Kiragu, Paul, my friend Paul, how are you? Thank you. Yes, thank you very much. My friend Pambe, thank you very much. My friend Daniel Wesonga, thank you very much. God bless you until we meet on, are we working tomorrow? I don't know. Until we meet tomorrow, we shall be broadcasting from different sites. I think so. Thank you very much, Jews. Thank you very much, Kenyans. Thank you very much, the world. God bless you all. This is Dr. David Matanga saying, Kwaheri.